right, Hotep, peace, peace, peace to all 8 million of you who are tuned in, who must have been notified that we are live. So ETM Hotep, which means welcome and peace. This is your brother Wujau Menib Irimaat. And I hope everyone's having a nice Friday, starting that weekend off correctly. And so tonight's brief discussion, this will be brief. It is a revisit on the topic of circumcision before the Bible. All right. This is called a revisit because this is something that we discussed and that we had addressed. By we, I'm speaking about the Sesh Mani Medew Netcher. We had discussed this topic a long while ago, and it came up in a conversation back in the day when we were talking about discipline of different people in Kemet. We were looking at some different texts and scenes where it showed where people were being disciplined, and then this particular topic came up because there's a scene where two individuals are being circumcised, and it looks similar to how people were being disciplined. So we kind of brought both of those topics up at the same time, and spoke about it. But before I continue, if those who are watching, again, I appreciate it. I'm going to say dua for those who tuned in. But if anyone can do me a favor and just let me know that you all can hear me loud and clear, and that the screen, everything is clear. All right. So, and I know there's a delay. So if anyone care to let me know that, but I'll keep on talking in the meantime. All right. So, yeah. And like I said, I'm going to try to make this brief. Sometimes it's, what do you call it? Sometimes when I'm long-winded, let me speak for myself. When I'm long-winded, I get a little long-winded, and, people will say something about it. But then when I try to cut it short, then people will say something about it. So sometimes, I'm not sure. So, hey, we just have a discussion and we just go in. All right. So, there should be some other members of the Sesh Mani Medew Netcher joining in. If you all heard that bell, then that is somebody entering in, and whomever that is, you can take the mic and introduce yourself. Let everyone know who's in the building. Okay, I thought I heard someone come in. I can't see it on the screen.
Hotep. Yeah, it just came in.
Okay, yeah. So I'm not sure if you heard me, but I said, if you can introduce yourself, let everyone know who's in the building.
Okay, Hotep, Rennie Imiket. My name is Imiket, and yeah, I just walked in and hoping to build.
All right, okay. All right, so again, dua for those who are tuned in. Share this link. If anybody you think is interested in this topic or any of the topics that we cover, encourage people to subscribe to our channel and tune in when we're live. And so what we used to do in the past, we used to have a regularly scheduled series of shows on Wednesdays and Fridays. Fridays we used to refer to it as Freestyle Fridays. Wednesdays we used to refer to it as Divine Words Wednesdays. Now, Divine Words Wednesdays were the days that we would give presentations. So it would be, PowerPoint, slideshow, and sharing. On Fridays, it was basically, as the title of the series, freestyle. We didn't crack open any books, no slides, no PowerPoints, no dictionaries, sign lists, or anything. And we had those two shows going for definitely a year strong, over a year strong. And then, we pulled back from it. And so we're going to, in 2020, we're going to kick that back off, because as a group, as individuals, everyone has their own projects and different things that they are working on. It may be completely outside of Kemet, outside of the language and things. But in 2020, we're going to go full-fledged at it again. This time, we're going to do things a little bit different because we've had time since we've started doing that. We've had a lot of time. A lot of people have been following us, been watching, tuning in, giving input, learning from what we've been doing, been encouraged by what we've been doing. And a lot of people have been taking the classes. So I expect our numbers to grow in 2020. And then also, we're going to work on some major projects. We're actually working on some now, but we're going to work on some and share with the public and see who all wants to get involved. All right. So, you all can look forward to that. So the discussion tonight is circumcision before the Bible, and it's a revisit. Like I said, we addressed this before, but I want to kind of go over it again, maybe have some fun. So I'm paying attention to the chat. And so if you have any questions about anything that we mentioned or, anything related to the Rani Kemet, which is the language of ancient Egypt, or Sesh Netcher, which is its writing system, then by all means, type it in. I'll keep my eye on it. All right. So, Imikat, do you have any opening remarks or anything?
Oh, no, not really. I think you did a good job. So.
All right. I see we have Brother Sean in the building. So I don't know if you want to let your voice be heard, let everyone know that you're in the building. If you heard me.
Yeah, I heard you. ETM Hotel, Brittany Sean. Welcome to peace. My name is Sean. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into the show today. Please, as I always said, like the show, share the show, tell a friend, tell a friend.
All right. So let's just dive in. So again, dua for those who are tuned in. I would give a roll call and shout outs, but if we started doing, we did that in the past, and so sometimes when we started doing that, we miss some people and they feel left out. So I'll just say greetings to everyone. All right. So, all right. Circumcision before the Bible. Now, again, the reason why this we're going over this again now, tonight, is because it came up today. I was told that the brother Zion Lex had made a comment. I didn't hear him say it, but I was told that he made a comment that he was the only one to translate, only one online to translate a circumcision inscription. I wasn't told which particular inscription or anything like that, but I was told this, and, you hear things, but you don't know if anybody said it really or not. So I had tuned in to the brother Garfield or the Dagger Squad channel, and I've caught the very tail end of the brother actually speaking about it. I think it came up in their conversation between Garfield, the brother Zion Lex, and I think the brother Sean and some others. So I was able to hear it. So and so I just wanted to make sure that was corrected. That I didn't want people to think that he was the only one to translate an Egyptian text, specifically circumcision, and I was told that he emphasized no one else did it, and he did it being a Hebrew, with the extra he being a Hebrew, and so on and so forth. So it's not a big deal, but I just want to clarify to people that these texts, we go through these texts as people ask us to, or people bring it to our attention. And when we did our Freestyle Fridays, each and every Friday for over a year, we would ask people to send us a picture that they would like for us to transliterate and translate in a freestyle way, And by the way, us doing a freestyle is us having fun, one, two, checking our skills, our memory, different words we know by heart, different glyphs and things like that. It's a very um, helpful exercise to do. And like I said, about 4 or 5 years ago, it was brought to us about discipline. How there are scenes where people getting beaten or circumcised, and that was one of the scenes that came up. So we addressed this over 4 years ago, 5 years, around 5 years ago, and it's on our website. And I realized that we haven't really pushed or advertised our website, so I'm going to show it to you all now. Our website is seshmedunetcher.com. All right, it's been there for a long time. Now it does need updating. We've it's become a little stale, and we haven't really advertised it, but it's been there. And so this is the homepage of the website. Let me get my cursor over there. Yeah, so this is the homepage of the website, and this is the website is designed, or the intent is to be a one-stop shop for all things related to Rodney Kemet, which is the language of Egypt, and Sesh Netcher, the writing system of ancient Egypt. All right, and so we have membership, we have details about the learning courses, the study courses, a blog that has general articles with student translations, and then there's a section called Wujau's Desk. And I used to post things on Facebook, and a lot of people would tell me why don't I save them in a location and things. So that's what Wujau's Desk became. Resources, sign list or glyph list, alphabet, biliterals, offering formula, various different scholars that you all should be aware of. And we have a digital library, where you can download books, ebooks, different dictionaries, things that we let people know to get, and things like that. So this website's been here. So anyway, I'm just going to click on student translations under the blog. And we have Hatshepsut's coal jar. And basically what these are images where, any one of us will transliterate and translate it, and so we give the transliteration and translation in each one of these. So we have the jar of King Meneferah, the headrest of Tutankhamun, and so on and so on. So let me see if I can go down to, so here's the one with circumcision before the Bible, and like I said, the website has not been updated in a while, and we're going to get back on that. But the last article was done in July of last year. Okay, that's this Hatshepsut's coal jar. Then we had June of last year, another one from June, another one from June, and then so it goes from June of last year, and then before that was December of 2015, and so we go all the way back to 2015. And going back down to circumcision, this was December of 2015. Okay, so just wanted to show you all, if you wanted to look for some of the things that we've done, then hey, check the website out. All right, now where our study courses are held is on Sable University. So you may have seen us advertise that a lot lately, because we're trying to just get people to who are interested in Kemet to take the class, beginner's class in the language. And that's where the study or the schooling aspect of everything is, sableuniversity.com. All right, so we have to make sure we keep both of these websites in mind. I'm gonna click on it, and it's gonna come up, and so you see the transliteration and translation. So it's it's nothing too wordy. It's just giving a simple transliteration and translation of this. And so I just want to go over this tonight. All right, because it came up. And, I'm going to use this as a way to explain, once again, the steps to transliterate and translate. All right, so let me get my cursor on back over here. Sean, did you have any remarks that you wanted to let people know anything about?
Nah, can you hear me okay?
To you, yes. Yes,
okay.
we can.
No, nothing. I mean, we can go in.
All right. Okay, so this is the picture, and let me get my cursor so I can see it. So this is the picture of a scene where circumcision is taking place. Okay, now just to help everyone follow along with what we're talking about or where we are, you see these numbers in yellow, circle labeled with these numbers 1 through 5. All right, and so just to quickly go over the process, here are the steps in transliteration and translation that everyone follows, regardless of who you are. Even if you were an ancient Egyptian yourself, you would follow these steps. But of course, if you were part and parcel of the culture and grew up speaking the language, you would fly through these steps, so it wouldn't seem like you're performing these steps, but you would actually be performing these steps as well. All right, but here are the 4 main steps, and maybe I can get Imiket or Sean, if you can see it, if you can read it for us.
2. Step 1 would be determine the direction in which the signs are to be read. Step 2 would be identify and document each individual sign. Step 3 would be to group signs into words to be searched in the dictionary. And step 4 is when you come up with a sensible translation.
All right, Dua. So now, what those steps are, just to give a little bit of more info on each of those steps. Actually, we no longer say signs, because when you go beyond a beginner's level of study, you'll find that there's a general vernacular or nomenclature that people use to describe things. But then when you get into the study in a more specialized way, you'll find out that things are called something different. All right, no different than any scientific field, where you have a layperson's way of saying something, but then you have a more technical term. They call it technical terms. And so what I start to let people know, because it's not technical as in hard to say these terms, but we need to kind of describe things more precisely, with more precision and more detail. Okay, so a sign is really something else. And, I go into that in other videos, so I won't go into that now. But instead of signs, we should say glyphs. All right, just to kind of keep it streamlined and consistent. So step 1, determine the direction in which the glyphs are to be read. And so you may hear teachers and scholars say that there are 4 directions that the glyphs can be read in. All right. Now, what I've found in teaching for the past 8 years now, that's a little confusing to people. So I've started to describe it differently, and I would tell people that it's 2 directions and 2 orientations. So you still have the number 4 there, but it seems to be better received and understood if we describe it as 2 directions and 2 orientations. And what that means is that it's either written from left to right or right to left in terms of you reading it, which are 2 directions. And then 2 orientations is that the text is either written in columns or they're written in rows. So they're orientated in columns or in rows. And then direction, they either read from left to right or right to left. All right. And I find that explaining it that way is a lot easier for people to burn it in their minds. All right. So that would be step 1. Step 2 is an identity step, as it says, identify and document each individual glyph. All right. But the only thing I want to really add is step 3 and 4. Step 3, when we say group signs into words or group glyphs into words to be searched in dictionaries, that is a parsing endeavor where you have to identify the groupings or patterns. This is a pattern recognition step. And so just like in English, the difference in English is that we are fortunate to have spaces in between each of our words. in Sesh, Medew, Netcher, there are no spaces, there are no punctuations, so you're not going to see commas, periods, or anything like that. So we have to recognize patterns to group glyphs into the words that they are supposed to be grouped together to form these words. That's what step 3 is all about. And then you can take those words, and now if you don't know its meaning, you can look them up in dictionaries. So that's step 3. Step 4, when it says come up with a sensible translation, step 4 is really the application of grammar. And grammar consists of morphology and syntax. And so at a beginner's level, step 4 may be a little challenging, because at a beginner's level, you're not going to analyze the grammar of the language in full. That's a separate level for a separate study, which I'm going to start offering publicly in 2020, next year. All right. I have a nice class right now, and I am actually working on publishing a textbook that will correspond to that class. But step 4, at a beginner's level, you will learn, some very basic grammar to be able to apply and come up with a sensible translation. All right. So just wanted to add that on there. All right, but let's get into this text here. So this is the topic for tonight. And I'm looking at the chat. So again, if anybody has any questions or comments, I'm going to monitor the chat, and I'll get to it as after we kind of flow with this information a bit. But I see so far we have Sisek or Sisech. I don't know if it's a male or female, so I'm just going to say they are saying that circumcision in the Bible did not come from Egypt, but from Scythia, developed independently. Okay. That's interesting. Now, just to be clear, the title of this show, Circumcision Before the Bible, it's not making a claim that the biblical circumcision came from Egypt or anything like that. Not to say that somebody's saying that now, but I just want to be clear. We're not making a claim in either direction. We're just showing that this particular inscription is before the Bible. This is actually, just so you all know, this is coming from the tomb of Ankh Ma'ah Hor, which is coming out of the 6th dynasty. All right, this is a 6th dynasty inscription that you're looking at. All right, this is before any published Bible that you can dream of. All right, so just to make that clear, whether the Israelites or the biblical tradition of circumcision came from Egypt or not, we're not making that claim right here tonight. All right. Okay, so so just to make that clear. All right, let's get into it. So you see these are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, in performing step 1, you're gonna look at text. Now there's text that you're gonna see in different pictures, and depending on how much of a particular text you're looking at or trying to examine or analyze, you may have all the text may be in one direction, one orientation, and then once you figure that out, you're good to go for the whole thing. But quite often you'll find that, as in this case here, you'll see glyphs that are written in multiple directions and sometimes multiple orientations, all in the same image as we have right here. So these numbers that you see are not necessarily in a particular order. Is to show you what text is to be separated from each other. All right, and a number for convenience for us tonight. All right, so now I don't know if Emiket or Sean, if you want to jump in. Now we're gonna move to step 2. Well, let's see step 1. Let's answer some of the step 1s. Okay, where the number 1 is, let me turn my cursor on. Where number 1 is, what direction should those glyphs be read?
From left to right.
Okay, so why do you say that?
by basically looking at the either body parts or animals, and in this instance, we have a leg with a foot, or right there, that symbol. It is facing to the left, and when we read into and not to the back of.
Okay, let me just get this arrow out here so we can. I just want to be able to point so people can see what we're dealing with here. So here is the leg that you were talking about. I'm just gonna put an arrow there so everyone can see that. Okay, and that's correct. So Ikea, that's excellent. And like you said, birds are one of the main easiest ways to make that determination. Now, just for those who may be new to this, now one, I encourage you to look at our archives of videos. And if you enjoy the video, thumb the video up. Spread the love, show, and also spread the share the link to the the videos that you may enjoy in our archive as well. But what I was going to say is that there are some glyphs that have no direction to them. And so, for example, let me point some of them out. This particular glyph here, it has no direction because it's circular. All right. The mouth, it's no direction because it's simply an open mouth. Now the eye, depending on how it's depicted, sometimes people draw it. It doesn't look like it has direction, but this actually does have a direction. But for instance, what's being called the bread loaf has no direction. And there's others, I can go through here, but the point is that there are some glyphs in and of themselves will not help you in determining direction. But I can say this with confidence that you'll not find one text that has glyphs that's composed of just glyphs that have no direction. Okay, so a text will contain some of those glyphs, but you're not going to find a whole text with nothing but glyphs that have no direction. Okay, so don't, it's not something to worry about. All right, just wanted to point that out. All right, let's move to number 2. So, Emiket, what direction and orientation are these groups of glyphs?
Okay, so on number 2, we are reading from left to right, and we're reading on vertical
So they're in columns.
columns, yes.
All right, so remember, we're saying columns or rows, and then we're saying left to right or right to left.
Okay.
All right, but why do you say left to right?
Well, left to right because we'll have to look at the direction that the animate figures are facing, like we have with the bird, and yeah, we have the bird, and then some of the body parts like the leg and the hand, so forth.
All right, okay. All right, we're just going to bounce off of each other. So, Sean, what about number 3?
Number 3, we will be reading from right to left.
Okay, and why is that?
And, well, we have one indicator is you can't really say the eye, but below the glyph that looks like an eye, you have, go back up some. Yeah, below the eye. You see those two, what is that?
Reed leaves?
Yeah, the reed leaves. That's what I was trying to say. I was about to just say eye. But the reed leaves, they're facing to the right.
All right, okay. Good enough. So, all right. And now, somebody from the chat, I want to answer from you to do number 4 and 5. So, anyone from the chat, I want you to give the direction and orientation of the group of glyphs that where you see this number 4 and number 5. So starting with number 4. So anybody in chat, and I do know this, there's a delay. So if anybody in the chat care to let us know about number 4, what direction and orientation are these glyphs in, and how should we read them? All right, so I'm gonna keep on talking, but let's see. Let me just read a couple of comments. 42 Tribes says, I doubt that someone would develop circumcision independently. Yeah, the absolute origin of circumcision or the motivation behind it is debated. Still debated among scholars. And so, unless you're ready to read all the scholarship for or against, or on different sides of that particular argument, just be prepared to read a lot of material, but it's still being debated. It's not something that's heavily debated, but it's still being debated. Sesh says, is there an Egyptian vocabulary surrounding circumcision here? Yes, indeed. We're about to go over some of these words that you see on the screen. All right. Let's see. Okay. Lisa says, can that be made a little bigger? All right. Let's see if I can make this a bit bigger. Now, if I make it bigger, it's gonna cut off some of the bottom. Like I'll make it bigger, but it's going to it's gonna cut off some of the bottom of this picture, which has no glyphs. But I want everybody to see the full scene. So now that everybody's seen it, I'll just go ahead and make it bigger, so that we'll all be clear on what we're looking at. So I'll scoot this down a bit. So here are the glyphs. I can kind of bring it to that point. So if you can see a little bit better. Now my arrow don't make sense, but all right. Okay, so let's see what the answers were. Okay, number 4 was left to right. Okay, Belle, Lorraine says left to right. Now, when I want to make sure we're talking about number 4. Lisa, so Lisa, you can't cheat because Lisa's I'm going to ignore Lisa's answers. All right.
I think Niger Valley Civilization said 4 is right to left.
Okay, that's correct. Number 4 is right to left, and 5 is left to right. Okay, both of those answers are correct. All right. Iker, excellent. And Soul L says right to left. That's true. All right. So that's good. I just wanted, to get people's participation in this. All right, so that's correct. All right, so now let's jump to step 2. Step 2 is to identify individual glyphs. Now, anytime that you are making an attempt to transliterate and translate, by the time you do that, you should have gone through some prerequisite learning, and all this other good stuff. And one of the things that is definitely mandatory is that you memorize the monoliterals or uniliterals or monoconsonantal glyphs. And these are glyphs that represent one consonant, one consonantal sound. All right. And they are 24 in number, with a few of those that have an alternate, but they're generally 24 in number, and they must be committed to memory. You can't get anywhere in this language without committing it to memory. It's the same way as trying to deal with English without ever learning the 26 letters of the English alphabet. So imagine how handicapped you'd be. So it's the same thing here. All right. And so skipping those, because by now everybody should have those memorized. All right. And those go from the vulture to the cobra. All right. You got the vulture, the reed leaf, the arm, the quail chick, the foot, the stool mat, the horned viper, the owl, the water ripple, the mouth, the enclosure, we call it template of enclosure. You have the twisted flax, what they call the placenta. You have the underbelly, the door bolt, the folded cloth, the pool, the hill, the basket with a handle, the jar stand, the bread loaf, the tethering rope, the hand, and then the cobra. All those glyphs should be memorized, and in that order. All right, I just said them. So, besides those glyphs, let's identify a couple of them. So, between Emiket and Sean, if you just care to, and I point the arrow to where you, whichever ones you say. So let's just point out a few of them.
Okay. Some of the glyphs we have fish. We have a tilapia on number 4.
Okay. Yep.
And I think that usually is a biliteral IN.
Okay. IN, biliteral. All right.
Correct. And then right below it, after the water ripple, we have I think it's a hair, and that will be a biliteral as well for when. WN.
You said it's a hair, it's some hair, some hair, it's a weave, it's a wig, or what?
No, that would be the HARE.
Okay. Okay, so a hare or rabbit, because
A rabbit. Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't normally call rabbits hares, even though that's what they call as well. But all right.
Okay, got you.
No, it's you're right though. It's listed as either or, but I'm just saying some people you say hair and then
Terms. Okay,
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so that's that, and I'm trying to bypass some of the monoliterals. I think
on the column behind that, you have below the mouth or up top, you have men. It's MN.
All right.
And then on the column next to that, we have that looks like a pyramid. That's DI.
What is it? You said looks like a pyramid, but what is it?
It's oh man, my brain fart.
Conical low.
Yeah.
All right, conical loaf. So just so people know, it does look like a pyramid, but it's a conical loaf that you'll see inside of the hand, and some other glyphs inside the hand on some arm glyphs. But yeah, maybe let's identify maybe 2 more.
You can go back to the first, under number 5, behind the quail chick. You have the I, which is ear. IR.
Okay.
Emiket, you want to do the other one?
Yeah, okay. We can take when we go on the left side, the third last, we have on the top. Yeah, on the top. Right there. That would be a jug, and that would be a biliteral as well with HZ for his.
Okay, HZ or HS, or as people across the pond say, HZ. Yeah. HZ. All right. Okay. All right. So that's enough. We don't want to take too much time. So I don't. So that's step 2. So now I hope everyone is following along in the chat. And again, like I said, if you have any questions while we're going through this talking, by all means, type in your comment or question. All right. So now, step 3. So now, as far as step 3 and 4, we're gonna kind of bunch that together and go from number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and just kind of do step 3 and 4 simultaneous, for the sake of time. So here, now again, we're treating it as a freestyle because we don't have any dictionaries open. But like I said, we've gone over this, but it was so long ago, it's hard to remember exactly what this was saying from memory. So it's like we're freestyling. It's a true freestyle because it's been so long. It's as if we haven't done this before. But one thing for sure, let's start right here. What is this right here? This word or phrase? It may be hard, Now, this is another thing you all have to realize that when you're looking at a lot of these pictures, you got to remember ancient Egypt, as we know as Kemet, is very, very old. And so this is from the 6th dynasty. So this is about 5,000 years old. What you're looking at is something that was done by human hands approximately 5,000 years ago. Okay, it's from the 6th dynasty, around 3000 BC. Okay, and we're in 2000 something, so it's 5,000 years ago, and so you're gonna see damage. You're gonna see some damage, like you see here, and so sometimes glyphs will get obscure or hard to make out and whatnot, and that's where your ad hoc, consistent training and practice will come into play. All right, but anyway, so like for example, I'm gonna give you an example of how we get around that. So let me look at this. If you were, let's pick a paragraph. Now, if you were to look at this paragraph, this bottom paragraph here, remember the English alphabet only has 26 letters. There are words that we may just be familiar with, and certain things are written all the time, like the definite article the, the. If a sentence starts with the, most of the time we'll get used to that, knowing the language, we know English. So let's say we find an old writing and the first part of the sentence is ripped off and all we see is the bottom little piece of the H, but we see the full E, but no T at all. We can infer based on just our knowledge that that's the word the in front of that sentence, and plus the context would help us out. Okay, so the same thing happens many times when it comes to writing Kemet and Sesh, Medew, Netcher. When you do this enough, you'll start to see words, even though it's damaged, you'll still be able to recognize the word. May not be that particular glyph, but you'll see that glyph is inside of a word that you do recognize. So I just wanted to point that out. But anyway, so back to what we're looking at. What is this phrase or word that I'm pointing out, if you can make it out? And also, if anybody in the chat, if you want to take a stab at it, but it's a delay, so we're gonna beat you to it.
Yeah, Omar was on it.
Who was on it?
Omar. He was kind of unsure of himself. I asked him, and he was like per, and then he put the T, so he kind of stopped like correct. I guess is what he was trying to say, without seeing the other glyphs.
All right. But yeah, any of you all want to?
Are you pointing to that? Is one glyph at the bottom?
Can you see the arrow?
Yeah.
Yeah, this glyph right
here. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that one.
Okay, yeah.
Not so clear to me.
Okay, it may not be clear on the screen, and I can blow this up. Let's see.
Correct.
Let me blow it up. I'm gonna blow it up for everyone.
Yeah, we can't see. Well, it will be Paret Karu.
No, I'm gonna go ahead and blow it up.
Yeah, because we can't see the small, if there's anything next.
So it's no excuse here. All right, there we go.
Okay, now you're
a
bit.
Okay, you said it again. You said what? No, just Sean, if you repeat what you said.
Per A.
Okay, so that's per A. I'm looking at chassis. Somebody said Peret Keru. Emicat, what say you?
I will go with what Sean is saying because that's the closest one to the glyph. Just I don't know, yeah. But okay. I think the R will be the closest. It's just at the bottom. It's just the R will be a little bit smaller or shorter than usual.
Okay. Now, because we're freestyling, everything we're saying is understood. But, if we wanted to give our final conclusion and things, we would definitely not leave it to chance. But this phrase is actually hem ka. So that's a hem, the word hem, the club. And what's looking like a pair that you all saying is
Oh, the hands down.
yes.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So let me get my cursor back over. Well, I blew it up, and I'm gonna leave it blown up here. So let me get my cursor back on so I can move this arrow. So that's him.
I see what you're saying now. Yeah, because it now looks like after you says the car, that's what made me go look at the part I was looking at per, and I guess describing the time over time. Yeah, I see it. The car.
Right. So it's hem ka. Okay. And can one of you all type that transliteration in the chat, because I want to make sure everybody gets the translation, so I won't have to switch and type it, so we can stay on this picture. So it's hem ka, which means the ka servant, or servant of the ka, and this was a title of people that had a very important job, which is what we call a priest. And we did a whole show on priest, right? People think that priest is something that is really not. And to kind of unromanticize things, we did a show and we talked about priest, the role of priest, and what is an actual priest. And a priest, when it's all said and done, is simply a person with a skill set and a very important job. Now today it's been used in as a title of somebody within a belief system, a hierarchy in a belief system, where it comes from father, in a Catholic religion, and so on and so forth. But a priest is somebody with a specialty and a very important job. All right, but anyway, a ka priest was a servant of the ka. All right, hem means servant, ka is the ka, and ka is translated by some people as spirit, and other people as personality, other people as soul, and what have you. Okay, so that's that. All right, I'm gonna move the arrow. Now this particular word. So now this particular word has 1, 2, 3, 4 glyphs. Okay, folded cloth, leg and foot, bread loaf, and what looks like an instrument as a determinative. All right. So if any of you don't know what it means, at least give the transliteration of this particular word.
Yeah, that should be easy. We have Monoliterals, so it spells out Sebat.
Okay, you sound low and you sound like your life's on the line and you're unsure.
No, I said that should be easy. It has Monoliterals, so you should just spell out Sebat, SBT.
Okay, that's
lowercase.
all right. Sebet, exactly. All right. And so now, some of this may jar your memory when we kind of covered this before, but that's the actual word for circumcision. Okay, so it's this, he's performing circumcision. So the hem ka is performing circumcision. So this word is right next to what he's doing. All right, and it now, just to describe the figures real quick, you have a person here who is holding the arms of someone, so he's restraining someone who's being circumcised, and then on the right hand side, you have a person here who is not being restrained at all, and he's just being circumcised. And not only is he being circumcised, he's bracing himself, I guess, on the head of another, the person who's actually performing the procedure. All right, so this person is a little frightened about the process. This person, he's okay. All right, so just to kind of describe the figures. All right, so let's move to number 2. So we're in this column right here. Oh, matter of fact, I'm gonna have to move the picture.
Yeah, I had a quick question on that previous word, civet. I don't know if you know what the determinative is.
Oh, Napa Heart. That's why I said it looks like a instrument. We would have to look that up.
Okay.
All right, so now everyone should be able to see the full picture again. So now we are in the set of glyphs around number 2. Okay, so what? So let's have at it for this portion.
So on that second portion, we have N, ger, and then soup. 2 words.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Say it again. Just say it one more time.
So I think it's N, ger, which would be N uppercase D and R.
Okay,
And then
Anger or Nedger?
Netcher, sorry, it's 1 word. And then the next word would be soup.
Okay, all right. And all right, let's keep it going to the next column. So we have so just to be clear, we have Nedger, which are these 3 glyphs, and then we have Su. Nedger, Su.
Netcher Su M.
Okay, M. We have the owl for M.
What is it? Hold on. Them the mouth is that with the M? No. Netcher Su M. D.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's D and then we back to the word we had earlier, a second ago. Sabat.
Oh, this one?
SB, yeah.
Okay, what's above?
Oh, hold on. You said what's above the D and then the mouth? It should be R. So like D hold on.
You went the other way.
Yeah, I did. D.
Mm-hmm. Is it Erdi or Reddy?
You're right. Ready.
All right.
And then ready, and then Sabat.
Okay, let me ask you, where are you getting the S from?
Oh, hold on. I'm thinking. Trying to put it together. Oh, the hand. Yes. Let me write it down. It's easy.
Let me check the chat, see if anybody has it.
I'm typing it. Always helps. Ready.
Let me put my arrow down here so we are at that word there.
Okay. That would be Deba, DBA.
Yeah. DA. Yeah.
Okay, that's correct.
Lowercase, right?
Yes, DB capital A. Now it's interesting. This one has a suffix pronoun on there, and what suffix pronoun is that?
F.
Correct. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So it's Deba F.
Yep.
Deba F.
Okay, so whatever Deba. I'm sorry.
Oh no! I was typing it.
Oh, okay. Type in the whole number 2 then.
Okay.
So Netcher, Su, Imredi, Deba F.
Bingo.
All right. Now some of these words we.
And
I'm sorry.
I was just about to answer one of the questions in the chat. Somebody was
Netcher.
asking.
Hold on. I'm sorry. 1 second. Sunshine. The J. It's a capital D. The
D.
N.
Yeah.
Capital
I'm
D.
doing.
Yeah, you're going by the sound. Jer. Oh, I'm sorry. What were we saying?
Saying somebody was asking about what is the glyph between the vertical and the mount. I believe between the on number 2, and that is, I think, is a bundle of flax. That's number 2 on the top.
Yeah, it's
Right.
it's the biliteral for Jer. Now, remember, we're doing this freestyle, so we're not using any glyph list or dictionaries or anything. So, some of these glyphs we'll remember that they're bilateral and what it represents in the transliteration, but we may not remember the Gardner codes per se and things like that. So, once we kind of go through this, then we can go ahead and crack open the books or crack open the glyph list and find out exactly. But if that's Jur, because you have Jur, that's a fiery kiln, and then you have the bundle of flax, which is like a bundle of flax with little balls on top, like in the word Nebertjur.
So do we end with the what is that? Would be Remin Ek.
Where are you now?
For number 2, third row.
Number 2, you said third.
Third row to the right.
Oh, over here?
To the top. Yeah.
Okay, no, that goes with number 4.
4. Okay. Oh yeah.
Okay, so you wrote it. So you typed it out. So we have Nejer, Su, Imredi, Deba'ef. All right. Now some of these words we could recognize. So Su, we know that's a dependent pronoun for him. Ready, we know that means to give, or something centered around giving, putting, allowing, causing, something along those lines. These are words that we should have memorized by now. We see it so often. Now, deba may not be a word that is as common for us to remember, but being that we went over this and we can look at it and tell what's going on, because this is the first, matter of fact, I didn't say this earlier, but this is the first instance or the first attestation of circumcision. 3000 BC, 6th dynasty, Kemet. And when we did this before, certain things just stick out. Debab is a word that means to knock over, like to knock something over from an upright position to a perpendicular, horizontal position. And so it's something along the lines of something being knocked over, fall over, or whatever the case is. All right, so certain words you will know from memory. That's one of the ones. That's not a common word. All right, so let's move to number 3. All right, so we're at number 3. You all still there?
2. Yes, number 3, we have the I, and I think, is it 2 relics? So it'll be Erie.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
R.
Okay.
And then you have Hez. And I'm not sure if it should be Hez Ek, because I don't know if there's something else at the top, but it should be
Yeah, it's a bread loaf there.
Okay. Hezet ek.
Okay, exactly. So iker hezet ek. Now hezet, do you recall what that means?
I know Hez has got to do with praises and things of that nature.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna, keep that in mind. Iri is to do. And then we have E. And then er hazet ek. Now we know that this ek on there is a second person suffix pronoun, you, talking about you, masculine. All right. So just from here alone, without knowing what every word means. Now this is the one of the, I guess, perks of being familiar with the morphology and syntax or the grammar of the language, kind of knowing what word classes words fall in and how they are syntactically arranged or their syntagmatic relationship with other words. And so we have a dependent pronoun on column 2, su. So we know that's him. So now we know that, and here's another thing to keep in mind. When you see figures inside of an image, the glyphs will face the same direction of the figure if it's words that are associated with that figure. So we have two people facing to the right. We have one person kneeling down facing to the left. Now notice that we have some glyphs facing to the left, which is number 2. Number 3 is facing to the right. So number 3 goes with either one of these figures, and number 2 goes with this figure down here. All right, along with number 1. All right. So with that in mind, so that offers more clues. So now we know this him, this dependent pronoun him, he's talking to somebody. Now, obviously, he's talking to the person. I mean, now we're just using context clues at this point. He has to be talking to the person who's holding this guy. Him. And then in column 3, this set of glyphs is facing to the right, which matches these two figures. Now, which one of these two figures are these words associated with? It must be associated with the same guy, the guy behind this figure, because he's saying, I do. Iri e, I do. As hezet ek, you desire. You desire. Hezet also means to desire something. Similar to mer, to wish or desire. So he said, I do as you desire, or as you want, or as you wish. So this guy is telling him something, and he's saying, okay, I'm going to do what you say, basically. All right. Now, of course, I'm not giving every single word just yet, because Netcher, that's not a common word that, I can recall exactly what that is at the moment. All right. So let's keep moving. So hold on, let me make sure to chat. Anything in the chat? I don't want to lose anybody now. Don't want to lose anybody. Okay, yeah, that's good. I see people are taking a crack at it. Son Chris is saying, okay, Iri. Okay, he has that right. Iri. No, that Iri is Iri E. That second reed leaf is a first person suffix pronoun. You have to remember, this is 6th dynasty. So one of the things that we have to keep in mind is that when you're dealing with Old Kingdom text, the orthography, the way that the scribes did the glyphs, is just slightly different in some cases of how we deal with Middle Kingdom text, where you'll have the seated man primarily for the first person pronoun I, But in the Old Kingdom, you'll see both with the reed leaf or the seated man. All right, so keep that in mind. So that's a possibility. And of course, like I was saying, everything that I'm saying here, we wouldn't end here. Like we wouldn't do what we're doing right now, freestyle, and then be done with it, and then be trying to set up a debate. Yeah, I know what this is, and you can't prove me wrong. No, we would never do that. We would actually, fact check ourselves, double check, verify, confirm, all those good things. All right, but tentatively, this is what we're saying. All right, so do y'all want to move on, or you want to guess at what this is saying? So now, if we set up the scene, this person is talking to the person behind. He's holding this person, and he's saying that he's going to do what he says. So if he's holding this person, this brings back to memory what Netcher means. Netcher is a word that means to hold or to restrain something. So he's telling him to restrain him. So it says Netcher su, restrain him or hold him. Restrain him or hold him. Okay, so you see how the context can help you. It just you can recall things, and of course, like I said, we would double check ourselves. But something along those lines. Netcher is to hold or restrain, because that's what he's doing. All right, so let's go on. Number 4. Now we have 2 more figures that these obviously 4 and 5 go with. Okay, I'm sorry. You were going to start it off?
No, I was just about to say that that's is still when you say to restrain. I think that's the same word we have from Netcher, from limit or to limit something as well. Netcher.
That could be a possibility, because that's a different word. With it's Netcher and not just jur. But jur is a limit, like a line, a limit, and to restrain something is to put limits on something. So that would be interesting to look into.
Okay.
Yes. All right, so number 4. So since Emiket, since you recognize the tilapia fish,
Okay. So I guess that's from the doorknob. So it would be sin. That the first 3 would be one word. I would say sin with
okay.
the whatever would be phonetic complement, and then you have
Wait, say that
when
again, because
uh,
I just want to know when you're talking, I can hear you loud enough, but I want to make sure you're clear. Make sure everyone's understanding what you're saying.
okay, got you. So the first word would be from the top would be the first 3 glyphs.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the doorknob, the tilapia, and the water ripple would be the phonetic complement. It would be sin.
Okay.
But then
So to be SIN, right?
sin, correct.
All right.
And then the next one would be when
All right. And what about that bread loaf right there?
in it.
All right.
And then you move to the next column, which is on the left side. So you have R,
Mm-hmm.
preposition, and then men. Men.
What about that last glyph?
Menek. Is that placenta?
Okay, Menek, right?
Menek, yeah.
All right. All right. Okay. So, Sean, if you could type out that transliteration for that whole thing. So we have sin, wenet, menek. Sin, wenet, menek. And I'm saying winet, but it's weninet.
Wenenet, yeah.
Yeah, 2 N's, right? Yep,
Q.
WN.
So I was saying, Sean, if you could type that out for the chat.
You said Senwinet, ear, Winek.
Sen weninet, menek.
I think St. Chris already has it.
No, it's sin, sin.
It's and it's Winnick with the X.
And it's I'm pronouncing it but it's R, just R. Sean, I'm gonna incarnate Monica on you and say you're fired. You know, Sonnet Mo would say you're fired. But it's sin, sin, win Nenet, yes. Or as people pronounce it, but it's just an R. And then you have men ek, MN, X.
Yeah, I already put it.
Oh, you forgot the I. SIN, sin.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, okay, last one. Number 5. So we're going to leave this up to Chris Withers. All right. So, Chris Withers, the spotlight is on you. You have the cockpit. You are Captain Picard of the Starship Enterprise. And so column 5 is all yours. And while I know there's a delay, so while we wait for son Chris to knock that out for us, does anybody have any questions or comments about it in the chat, or any of you all here? One thing that I noticed, and I think we mentioned this before, is that in today's time, everybody would be that guy on the left. If you had to be circumcised at that age, because these are not little children. These are, as far as we could tell, these are grown men being circumcised. Or adults, young adults, or what have you, being circumcised. So I think if any of us had to be circumcised at that age, you would definitely be that person on the left. I don't think I'll be that guy on the right.
Yeah, I was going to say that and I'm not sure, probably Sensual and them have already covered that. In some African cultures, circumcision is like a rite of passage into manhood. So it's not something that will be done as a baby, but probably at that particular age that you see over there, you'll be grown anyway.
Mm-hmm. Now, to my knowledge, just to kind of buy some time, give Chris a chance to do the last column, and to probe a little bit further into the culture. Although I said that most of us grown men, if we had to be circumcised at an adult age, we would probably be like the person on the left. But just to give more information in the culture, now the word sebet is a word. Now it's a word that's used for circumcision or to circumcise, but it's not the cut. That's actually the cut itself. Okay, because when you think of circumcise, you think of a cutting, right? It's more, that particular word fits what the person is actually doing. And that particular word is not, like I said, the cut itself, but more so to rub. So it's almost like the person on the left, he's doing something to his body to prep him for the actual cut. So today, if you're an adult and you're going to get some kind of cut, intentional cut, they give you what they call it, anesthesia. Something that numbs the area, a local anesthetic or anesthesia. And so, this may be one of the very, very old and early instances of something of that nature. And so if you don't have any anesthesia done to you or any numbing, then you're going to be worried, scared, out of your mind to be cut, especially, in your reproductive areas and organs and things like that. And so the guy on the right, and like I said, this is just probing into the culture. The guy on the right may have already had some kind of something applied to him to where he's more calm, and he doesn't he's not going to feel anything, or bare minimum, because he doesn't have to be restrained. So keep all that in mind, and that's what I'm saying. We have to kind of think of things in more practical terms. And I know people like to romanticize things and spook things out, and try to make aliens out to be try to make these people out to be aliens or something. People will go to extra lengths to do this kind of things. But if we think more practical and look into the culture and let the culture tell you what's going on, then it'll pretty much make sense. All right, so Chris, where we at? Yeah, I know I put Chris on the spot, so I don't see it. I don't see that he.
He has it up there.
Oh, okay, I see it now. So it says you eret nej kap im. Maybe he had a spelling error, because I don't see where he got that K from. I don't see where he got the K from.
Mm.
So, son Chris, if you may want to take another stab at that. Okay, but back to what I was saying though. Notice that the hemka, the person kneeling on to the right, excuse me, sorry, to the left. He doesn't have a knife in his hand. The one on the right does. But this guy is calm. This guy needs to be restrained. And so, okay, he says nin. Oh, cop. Oh, so he's saying cop. Okay. You may want to revisit that.
Oh, I think it might be that glyph that is below the cobra in repose that it might be translating as cup, but that one, the glyph for cup usually um, is horizontal and not vertical like that, but they do kind of share the same similarity, just different positioning.
Okay. What does cop mean? Uh
If you're asking me, I'm not, I don't know.
I'm talking about Chris, if he knows. All right, but I don't like the dead space. So, you'll
Yeah,
have
you were
any.
saying something about could it be that on the first step they get that's the person that numbs them, and then they move on to the person that cuts them in that
Yes,
sense?
right. So I'm saying, in terms of he doesn't have any instruments in his hand, but the other one does. So it's interesting. All right. So, all right. So now that we've pretty much gone through it, now what can we make sense out of it, or do we want to just go and start to verify these things? Anything?
Uh, we can go very far. I think I could recognize the words, but some of the meanings is something we'll definitely have to look up.
All right, so let's crack open the dictionary. So we're gonna look up some of these words. So those of you in the chat, I don't want to make this too long than it has to be, but hopefully you're following along. If you're not, then go ahead. Make sure you type in your question, ask your question, or if you have any comments. But let's go ahead and crack up open. So Netcher, or let's do the last word. So it's either cop or Nejim. Okay, Sean, are you able?
I would go with Netcher because that would look more like is it like a seed, a pod, or something? Um, right underneath the cobra, so it would be. I think Netcher makes much more sense.
Okay.
So it would be EUR air R Netcher.
All right. Sean, are you able to open Vigus? Okay. All right. So let's fly through this here, because maybe people have questions about something else. Nejim. So let's type out the transliteration for number 5. We did 4, number 5. So, well, actually, Chris did. So his discrepancy is either cop or Nejim. So let's see which word. And this is now. Remember that in doing this, now this is a scene. This is not even a very wordy piece of text. And you see how you have to do it. But obviously, we're doing it freestyle, so it's going to take us longer, and we're using it as an exercise. But if you already had your books open, everything, and you're used to this, you would be doing this faster. All right, you'd be able to confirm yourself and correct yourself a lot faster. So the first thing you would do is look up cop and look up Nejim, the two possibilities, and then the words you do know, you see if the context fits. So you and then what we have left, let me scroll back and see where he put it. So he says you eret. He has nej cap im. And so that's one pass. Another one is you eret. It'll be you eret nejim. And by me pronouncing I'm talking about, the R. Most people say or A lot of times that short E is a like a short E sound. So people say instead of But if I were to say it'd be eret nejim. And if that's the case, it would mean it's making a statement. So it's saying I will do, or I do. And then we have nejim. Now, this is where, again, one of the perks of dealing with grammar comes into play, because adverbs, you know that adverbs are words that modify verbs and other adverbs. So usually adverbs are formed with the preposition in front of a particular word. Okay, and so the combination would be an adverb. So if we were to think of an adverb, you, and then it's saying it, to do something, or that which is done, and then nejim. So nejim, one of the first definitions of nejim, people would think of sweet. Nejim means sweet, but also means something that is sweet, but not sweet, not only sweet like to the taste, but sweet as in pleasant, because something sweet to taste is something pleasing, pleasant, and everything. So it was or nejim would be pleasantly or sweetly. So saying I will do something sweetly, pleasantly. Now, just knowing that alone right there, if you go back to column 4, and it says sin winenet ermenek. Sin means to cut. That's the word to cut. So we see him holding a knife. So that text goes with the guy that's being cut because it's facing to the right and he's facing to the right. Let me put my cursor here. So this figure here is facing to the right. These glyphs are facing to the right. So this text is associated with him. So he's saying to this person performing this cut, he's saying cut. And then winenet is a word that means indeed. In grammatical terms, we call it an enclitic particle. Winenet, indeed. So he's saying cut, indeed. And then minek. Here's that word the preposition in front of another word. Most likely this will be an adverb. So he's saying cut, indeed, and then somethingly. And so, you all say you aren't able to open the dictionary. So maybe somebody in the chat can oblige us with a dictionary search for menek. Whatever menek means, it's going to be an adverb.
Menek, efficient.
Yes. So it's saying
efficiently.
Go ahead.
Efficiently.
There you go. Say it one more time.
Efficiently.
Exactly. So he's saying cut indeed efficiently. Like make sure you cut this thing right. Okay. So this particular figure here is telling him, he's saying cut indeed efficiently. Like make sure you get it right. And then the person who's kneeling, this particular text is associated with this person. So he's saying, I will do sweetly, or I will do it sweetly or pleasantly. Like, okay, he's like basically saying, all right, I got you covered. I mean, I'm bringing it into modern vernacular, but I'm saying it's literally saying, I will do, and then I will do that, and then it's saying nejem. Like I said, nejem usually means sweet or pleasant, and to change it into an adverb, which is what does in front of these particular adjectives, it will be pleasantly or sweetly. So he's saying, I will do it pleasantly, like, I got you. It's not gonna hurt. All right. Or agreeably. All right. So hopefully everybody in the chat, y'all saw how that worked, and we didn't even crack open dictionaries yet. So you all, I'm gonna leave that to you all in the chat. So again, as a disclaimer, everything we went over is all tentative because we haven't fact checked ourselves, but I'm gonna leave that to you all. Okay, I'm gonna leave it to you all to do that yourself, and then come back and let us know if we were out of our minds, if we got it all wrong. Maybe these are aliens performing, how they say you get kidnapped or abducted by aliens and they perform these sexual experiments on you. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe they're inside of a space capsule, and these are humans and those are aliens morph themselves into humans not to scare them off. And now let me stop. I watched too many sci-fi movies. And somebody's gonna clip this and take me serious. But no, it's not aliens. But basically, and like I said, we spoke about this before, it's just been a long time. But basically the person on the right is having some procedure done to him that will allow him to be cut. And so what we could very well possibly be looking at is a procedure, not just this one snippet and then that's it. It could be a stepped procedure. So step 1, a person is restrained. He's given some kind of anesthetic or, numbing factor, whatever the case is. And then he is cut. He is actually circumcised. Okay. The word sin is a word to cut. it has a semantic meaning of cut. All right. So hey, fire away any questions in the chat. We don't want to stay too much longer. But if you have any questions or about this or anything else, we can deal with it for a little bit. And Sean, indicate if you all have any any comments or anything, go for it.
No, not really. I was looking
Nah,
if somebody had any question.
Okay.
Somebody was asking if I think it was Sen Omar was asking if so could that be replaced by Nefer? I'm not sure if it means the word Netcher.
Oh, good or agreeable, because Nefer means beautiful, good. It's possible, but some of these words have a different semantic scope that may not fit the context. Now, today, you have to understand this, that when we translate words today, and this is something that I find myself explaining a lot of times, that translation is an art and a science. There are things you can rely on that are rigid, and then there's room, okay, to be a little creative. You have to be creative, and this is why translations may differ from person to person. Transliterations is rigid and scientific. Depending on which transliteration system you use, everyone should match. Everyone's transliteration should be the same, okay? But when it comes to translations, you'll find slight variations because there's rarely a one-for-one translation from a source language into a target language because the grammar doesn't match. Okay, so like for example, I always use Spanish as an example. If I say Casa Blanca, I'm literally saying house white in English, literally. But when we bring it to English, we don't leave it that way. We say white house. Casablanca, even though Blanca, which is the color white, we'll say it first, White House. Okay, so and another example now, Rodney Kimmett example I always use is the word Hemet Nesut. Now, some translations you'll see Hemet Nesut means wife of the king. Somebody else may translate it as royal wife. And then a third person may translate that phrase as simply queen. So you have wife of the king, somebody say royal wife, and then somebody will say queen. Now we know semantically all those are the same. We understand it. But what's written or put inside of a book by a scholar or whatever is different, so that's the flexibility or example of some of the differences you'll see from translation to translation. So translations are approximates to a degree, and then there's some exactness with it as well. So there's a balancement. There's a back and forth between, like I said, that's why I describe it as an art and a science together. All right, so hopefully that's sufficient for that. Now, the word sin, like I said, it means to cut. There's other words in the language to cut, okay? But this word sin, it's like cut and separate. So it's like, that's the only way I can explain it, cut. Because, see, there's a such thing as cutting something, but that cut, there's a cut that means incision. Okay? Then there's a cut as in to cut something and now you have separate parts. So if you get cut, like if you get cut by a glass, or you cut your hand or your arm or whatnot, that's we describe it as cut, but that's not the sin type of cut. This particular word is cut and to sever, separate, like like cut your finger off, or cutting, cutting your toenails, cutting your fingernails. That would be this kind of cut. Okay. But then there's a cut as in an incision, that your body parts are not separated. It's just you have a cut, an incision. And those are different. Those are different. All right. So, I'm trying to keep you all's feet on the ground and make sure that we stay practical with everything. And like I said, this language is like a language. A lot of people look at the Egyptian language because of the glyphs, the nature of the glyphs, and early Egyptologists spooked everything out, that our understanding today gets tainted by that. And, so we guard against that, and we make sure we encourage people not to go down that line of spooking everything out, not looking at things as if everything is Twilight Zone, esoteric, the Kasha records. You gotta, meditate with your third eye and drink ayahuasca or smoke some weed just to decipher and translate glyphs. All right, it's not that. Okay, it's not that. This is a writing system, and a writing system, by its very definition, is the visual representation of speech. Okay, so these words have meaning. They have practical meaning. They're explaining things. Now, of course, you have figurative writing, figurative expressions, such as metaphors, hyperboles, similes, allegories, and all of that. That kind of expression will kind of cover and conceal the realities behind that. Now that's a whole nother thing. All right, so right, Julanda says you got to know sacred geometry. Right. Someone asked that, would knowing sacred geometry help with the Sesh Netcher? And hopefully I answer clearly, but the answer is no. I mean, knowing sacred geometry, hey, knock yourself out. There's nothing wrong with that. But is it needed to read the glyphs? The answer is no. All right, the answer is no. All right, I think Sean has to.
Senate Lisa was asking, I don't know if I missed it, but do they refer to women also being circumcised?
That's a good question. Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. Nope. All right, and yeah, cultures. And of course, there's cultures that do that, but hey, and the interesting thing is that if you're born, see, this is the vulnerable state of babies and children. Whatever culture you're born in, those are going to be your foundational, or norms, your foundation and your norms of life. And if you're born in a culture that does that, then that's going to be normal to you. I mean, look at everything we do here in America. It's normal. Like we in our minds, we have some things that we call normal. Like it's normal to do X, it's normal to do Y. But you go to another country, what's normal to us is not normal to other people, and vice versa. So we would cringe at that. I don't get that. But obviously, if I grew up in the culture, and then people who have grown up in that culture that do female circumcisions, you have women who were born and raised in the culture who do complain and have complained about that, and try to do something about that. But that's just interesting. That's just interesting. Yep. So any other questions or concerns?
Yeah, I was thinking with what you were saying. I think you did mention before about updating, especially when dealing with science, it's always about updating information and things of the sort. And so even cultures that that we know about, there is a need for updating, and that's where you get where people complain about, things being kept the same, and like religion and all that kind of stuff. So things do need to get updated. So you do have people who would like to see some of their cultures also get updated, some of the traditions that they keep that doesn't work in the new times or modern times. Or as new findings come along, you find some things actually dangerous, like women's circumcision. So you'd have women within our culture would also seek to have that changed as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing we have to understand. And this is something I say all the time. You know, us here in America, we're a unique phenomena. A lot of us are a product of the horrific transatlantic slave trade. And it's that event or era of events that cut our umbilical cord to our mother, which is whatever country and people we came from on the continent of Africa. All right, we have to remember Africa is a continent, it's not a country. And on the continent of Africa, you have diversity of ethnic groups that all did not believe the exact same thing or practice the exact same thing the exact same way. Now, there are some cross-cultural norms or common themes that we can see at different levels. There's a commonality among all human beings, whether you're from any country, just the fact that you're Homo sapiens sapien, we can find some common things between all human beings. And then we can start to fine tune, get into more and more details, drill down level by level, and start to see distinctions. And so at all times, we have this unity and multiplicity at play. And so the reason why I bring that up is because us in America, because we were cut from our umbilical cord, we have this this urge to find our way. We feel something is missing and we got to find our way. And so a lot of things that are African, quote unquote African, appeals to us. And so we'll find ourselves converting into an African practice or some practice that's done on the continent by certain communities today. And when we do that, we bypass the normal skepticism or rigor that we would apply prior to converting. So in other words, we would accept these traditions and things like that a lot faster than we would normally, because we have this desire to get back to our mother, to feel like we belong and to get into something that resonates with us. And I say that to say that because that's missing, a lot of us today will adopt these African traditional religions or African spiritual systems, and we'll swallow it whole. Not only will we swallow it whole as is, but we'll also bring a baggage to it from something that we were previously in, such as one of the Abrahamic beliefs, be it Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. And it's not fair to the tradition. And then even without that, we never look into the tradition and to scrutinize it to see if there's superstition still in it, or things that are just not practical or don't work, and so on and so forth. But because it's tradition, we don't want to break from it, or being new kids on the block, if we converted to it, we don't want to cause trouble. And so a lot of people just fall in and fit in, get in where you fit in type of thing. And that's what's been going on for year after year, decade after decade here in America, converting over to some of the African communities, the traditions. All right. And so, but now if we look historically at communities that are not disrupted, they live their way of life, like what we're calling a culture, and we can document it from A to Z. It's a lifestyle for people living it in real time. And when you are in that situation, your culture is living. It's like a living entity. And living entities adjust. They breathe. It expands. It contracts. It moves. You know, it dances with something. It defends itself. It attacks something. You know, cultures is like an living entity, and so it's not going to stay rigid and stay the same. But the way we treat African traditions today, we treat it as if, oh man, it is what it is, and that's what it is. You know, and it's not, not just us in America, but across the globe, people look at these traditions and like they're static and stuck. That's why I actually did a Facebook post. And I said, tradition is supposed to motivate you and not imprison you. And that's the reason why I said that, is because of what I just said. So this is something that people should understand, and it speaks to what you're saying. So you have some people who want their traditions or culture updated. They don't want to have female circumcision. They call it mutilation of the vulval area, the clitoris, and whatever it is that they do.
Right. And yeah, just on many different fronts. I mean, I think it's just a commonality around different African cultures is that in modern times people do want to maintain their traditions and culture, but they do want a lot of things updated. Because for example, you have cases where in different traditions where women can't inherit their family properties, and that doesn't work in modern times. So it's just, those are just a few examples just to show that you just can't take and swallow the whole thing, because even within those cultures, people actually realize that they cannot just take and swallow the whole thing, that it needs to be updated.
Right. Yeah. And that's true. So we got 4 minutes. So I want to close out at 10:30 our time. So we have 4 minutes. So if anybody in the chat, first of all, shout out to the chat again. Do I appreciate you all tuning in. And if you have any questions, go ahead, type it in. In the meantime, I know there's a delay. So let me just give a couple of words that you hear us say all the time. When you hear people say dua, dua simply means thank you. It's a word for praise or gratitude. So we say dua, we're grateful. You're saying dua, like I'm grateful, which is a way of saying thank you today. You may hear us say tiu, which is yes, nin, which is no. You may hear us say etm hotep, which is welcome in peace. Shemim hotep is to leave in peace or farewell. It's a farewell greeting. What else we say? You may hear me say iker or iker, which is excellent. Son is brother, sonette sister. What are some other ones? You may hear people say Uncle Ja Seneb. It's really Uncle Weja if we're consistent in pronunciation, but you hear people say Uncle Ja Seneb, life, prosperity, and health. You're wishing those three things on someone or with someone. You may hear us say Beka Nafir, which is good morning. Goreh Nafir, which is good night. Mashiru Nafir, which is good afternoon. What else? Some of the common terms that you hear us say.
We got Snet, Juju's on it, Tiu, Nen, Iker.
Yeah, okay, good. The word seba is teacher. Seba is a word that, it could mean teacher and student. Sabat is that which learns, or,
And lessons as well, instructions at the same time.
Yep, sabait, lessons, instructions, sabat. Nehemi, the word nehem, which means basically saying my pleasure. It's a way of saying don't mention it, like don't worry about it. We say nehemi, which means my pleasure. So when somebody say dua, you can say nehemi. It's like the reply, like we say, thank you, like, are you welcome? So it's like saying you're welcome. Let's see, anything else? We have 1 minute.
Yeah, since you have 1 minute, a good book to get would be Dr. Wakadia Man's book, Mejat Wefa. And that would just get you up to speed with just common phrases or things that you could start using to just speak on a speak Rani Kemet. So that would be a good one. We do have a few of most of the phrases at the back of our book as well. The beginner's book, quite also Dr. Wakadia Man's book is really good for that.
Yes, indeed. Tiu, indeed. So yes, definitely. And it's available on Amazon. Majat Wafa is the name of the book by Dr. Raketi Amin. And what she did, she took some common words we use in English and has, brought forth the Rani Kemet terms so that we can start getting used to it. All right. Now, I want to say this disclaimer. I always say and remind people that our pronunciations today, when we say Uncle, Jas, Neb, Hotep, and all these other words, they're all conventional. They're never meant to be taken as historically accurate pronunciations. Don't allow anyone to tell you that they are. If anyone tells you that, you go run the other way. All right, so you've heard it from me, and thank me later, or don't say I didn't tell you. But seriously, our pronunciations are tentative. And as a reminder, our pronunciation does not prevent us from knowing the meaning of any word. Now, there are some exceptions to that general rule especially when you have tonal languages where a word that has slightly different tones can change its meaning. Okay, so there are some exceptions, but in our case with Rani Kemet or ancient Egyptian, that's we don't have that issue. All right. So let me give you an example. If I say the word typically, what is that word? Do you know? Typically.
Me?
Yes, typically.
No.
Now you notice how you couldn't, that didn't register with you when I said typically.
Mm-mm.
But if I put the stress in a different location, I say typically. Now you know what that word is.
Correct.
Okay. And so sometimes people put stress in the wrong place in the general ways that things are pronounced. And that's because we are speaking a living language. And so this is different. Now, if I were to write it down, you wouldn't have that problem that we just had just now. If I say typically versus typically, if I wrote it down, you wouldn't have that issue. Correct?
Right.
Right. So stress is not expressed in the Sesh Medew Netcher, therefore we don't have that issue. So I'm just, demonstrating my point. Okay, Niger Valley Civilization says any progress on the vowels. Yeah, that's an ongoing project. That's going to come through a lot of meticulous work and rigor with comparative linguistics, historical comparative linguistics, where it's going to be a statistical thing. I can tell you that up front. It's going to be a statistical thing. So, for example, and this will be the last thing, if you have a set of consonants and you're trying to recover the vowels for said word, what you then will do is find cognates in related languages. And once you get a nice substantial list of cognates for that word in other related languages, then you're going to use stats where the majority will rule. And this is one of the proposals. So let's say you have 10 related languages to your word. So you got word in ancient Egyptian. That's what you're trying to deal with. Now you have 10 other languages, and you found the cognates of that one word in 10 languages. And so you look at your spread. You look at your consonant vowel spread. So you have consonant 1, vowel 1, consonant 2, vowel 2, so on and so forth. And so in each position, you're going to add up the vowels and the how different they are and take the majority. Or, you could take the majority and then settle with that. And that being the case, and you plug it in. Now, does that mean that's how it's historically pronounced? No. But in a lot of cases, that's the best that we're going to be able to do. So it's a lot better than, what early Egyptologists did, where they just stuck a arbitrary E, the schwa E or short E sound in between everything. So at least we'll be able to do that. All right. And then as a what do you call it? I guess as a lazy way of doing about it, I tell people, hey, if you want to pronounce some Egyptian that's more authentic and things, just go learn Coptic. Because they say Coptic is the last stage of Egyptian, so go learn Coptic. It's still spoken today as a liturgical language in the Coptic church, but people can go learn it. People still speak it. So and there's YouTube videos with it. So people can learn it. But if we really, really want to get down to it, what I said before, it's going to take some time. Yep. Okay, so Chuck Morgan, I love this unity. Peace makes it easier to process complex information. Yeah, exactly. And that's what it's about. It's about setting up learning environments. It's not about this adversarial entertainment environment that a lot of us have gotten used to, where everybody's beefing. And for the life of me, I cannot understand why people are trying to debate people and not issues. That's like debating 101. The first thing you learn is that you never debate a person, you debate an issue. Remember, the word debate means to beat down, to hammer out. You're not going to beat down a person, but now think about it. That's what everybody's attempting to do. Like that's why I don't call these fussing matches debates that we see on these different platforms. They are not debates. You don't debate a person. You don't beat down and hammer out a person. You beat down and hammer out an issue, a topic, not the person. So you don't debate people. So-and-so versus so-and-so. No, it's issue versus issue, not person versus person. That's the first thing we learn. I went to school and I was on a debating team. So I had formal training in debating. And these are fundamental things that you learn. You don't debate people, you debate issues. And of course, people have to argue the issues. But you don't look at it like you're fighting a person. You're fighting against an issue and whatever evidence that's backing that issue up or the lack thereof. See, and if we had that attitude, people wouldn't get personal and take things out of context and be ready to fight and fuss and throw ad hominems and things like that. So what we encourage and what you'll see us do as far as a Seshu, Mani Meta Netcher, or me personally, and speaking for myself, I don't get involved with that noise. I don't get involved with that noise.
Yeah, see, if you notice a lot, like, with this issue, we spend most of our times, like either studying, and if we're not studying, then we share what we know. But we do keep it real. I mean, we're not out here like, I know it's the Baujawi is the teacher, but when we are students and we stay humble students, it's actually an art being a student. So people actually do need to learn how to be a student. That needs to be taught separately, because a lot of people lack in that department. But in reality, we actually just spend most of our time just honestly and properly studying the Sesh and just Kemet in general. But the noises that you will hear out here is just from people who do not know squat. Like they just, those are the people who are the loudest. People that know are actually quiet doing the work and then coming out and sharing the work. So when you hear a lot of people talking this and that, they are not even on that student level. They don't even know how to be students. Like even this inscription that we're doing right now, if you notice, that's actually on the student translation section. So when you have people coming out and talking about nobody's doing that, we're doing that as students. We're doing that, and we don't have to share everything that we do. Most of the time, we just stay quiet being students. So I just wanted to share that because it's a lot of noise going on about Kemet from people that literally do not study Kemet, or even if they attempt to do it, they're doing it on a shallow level just to come out and make a lot of noise.
Right, and we just gotta guard ourselves against that. It's gonna happen, and like me, I just stand clear of it. And I'm all for debating. I see the value in debating. Like I said, I was on a team on an amateur level, and I've debated. I've never lost a debate, and I can say that with confidence that I won't. I don't see myself losing a debate because if you should. One thing you learn very early on as well is that you're not going to debate something that you are not thoroughly studied in. And when you can, and this is one thing. Now, this is what I want everybody in the chat to do. Okay, I know we got some people still watching, right? What I want everybody in the chat to do. This is gonna be a mantra. Matter of fact, Julanda is the one that suggested this as a mantra. When you start off a conversation, say out loud or to yourself, say, "I don't know." We got to practice saying that, because for some reason that phrase is the hardest phrase to get out of people in the social community. Just start off by saying, "I don't know." There's nothing wrong with saying, "I don't know." I don't know. Because ignorance is the gasoline, the diesel, the rocket fuel for the pursuit of knowledge. If you already think you know something, then you're not going to move or seek knowledge. You're not going to seek nothing. So the fuel is ignorance. And once you can admit that you don't know something, that begins your journey. Now we call it humility or whatever the case is, but people need to be more specific. We just got to start saying, "Hey, I don't know." Just start off, "I don't know. I would love to know, so let me find out. Let me work with some people to know, and get with a study group, or get with a study team, study group, whatever the case is, But now, before I go, I do want to say this. We're gonna wrap up right now, but I had made mention last actually over a week ago that I was gonna do a hangout and continue a conversation that came up in a live broadcast on a Dagger Squad. Twice, actually, 2 different occasions. We were talking about something that people like to describe as sacred sex. All right, and I know this probably got a lot of people's attention right there. Sacred sex, So if today is Friday, tonight's Friday. And, I think everybody's, relaxing at home or whatever the case is. If you're interested in jumping on a hangout where we kind of go in on that topic, then, let me know. As a matter of fact, out of everybody watching, again, shout out to the chat. People do these polls, but I just want to see the interest. So press 1 if you're interested in coming in on the conversation of what people describe as sacred sex. So press 1 if you're interested, because if you are, then it's going down tonight after hours with, I know Sean had tried to describe it as Dagger Squad after hours, or Wujao after midnight. All right, so now for those who don't know what sacred sex or what is being described as sacred sex, then yeah, jump on Jump on the Hangout. Now I don't know how I'm gonna be able to give you all the link. Okay, I tell you what, we'll use this same link. All right, we're gonna end this broadcast because we're gonna end this broadcast, but I'll use the same link. MBK, how about you? Are you down for a discussion? Or are you up? I should not say down. Are you up for a discussion? Why do we say down? Yeah, after hours with the Seshu Mani Meta Netcher. After midnight. Oh, I think I lost Emiket.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, did you hear my question?
No.
I said, are you up for a conversation about what people are calling sacred sex?
Yeah, that's interesting.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to somehow paste this link into the chat. Let's see if I can get it over there. Pardon the silence, everybody, but we're going to wrap it up here. But I'm going to post the link and see who all comes in here. All right, so here we are. Now, for some reason, it's not going to let me paste all this stuff. All right, give me a second because it's like a long link. I got to chop it down. Give me a second. But yeah, so again, let's see. Meeting ID, password. All right, there you go. It's a meeting. It's this session right here that we have right now. That's the link if you want to click on it. If you have Zoom already downloaded and you're familiar with it. So I won't close out here until I start seeing some people pop in.
Yeah, everybody's so excited. But just remember that Sibaujao is going to be quizzing everybody after that.
Yeah, y'all don't know me. Now, listen, we're going to talk about some sacred sex now. I'm going to give you a test. But no, it's not quite what people, I'm not trying to, you'll find out what it's about. But it's what people are calling sacred sex, all right? So and like I said, this topic came up twice, 2 different occasions. And, we got to talking about it, but we never really had a...
Excited, but just remember that Sibaujao is going to be quizzing everybody after that.
Okay, whoever just popped in...
Sex now, I'm going to give you a test.
You got to mute your... Everybody popping in here. Boy...
Yeah, notice that this is the first time that people are being like really like up or really showing up. Like we put the links all the time and they're like, I'm just watching from the sidelines, all that kind of stuff. But damn, we got people.
Listen. If I tell people to come in to help with some translations, it's like crickets, chirp chirp. But the moment you mention sex, or everybody's like, I'm down, I'm up, let's go, give me the link. Give me the link. No, but seriously, if you're interested, hit the link. Okay? I put the link. I'll post it again. Wait a minute. I'm gonna post it again. I mean, it's Friday night, so if you down, if you're up for hanging out, then let's do it. But I'm gonna start the conversation over. I just want to go over a couple of things with that I mentioned, and it was interesting in the conversation, but we never had a chance to finish it, and it's kind of spread out like on a couple of live shows. It came up by chance. So what I want to do is kind of intentionally talk about it. All right. So if you're up for it, chime in. All right. Or if you know somebody else, it's not just for you all here too. If you know somebody else, this is open. This is open. It's not it's not like a private thing. I'm just not gonna continue with the broadcast. So I'm gonna shut this down and say ETM Hotep to everyone. Again, I appreciate everyone tuning in. Hopefully you learned something about the translation process, and also what the inscription said. Let me just show the description one more time. This is what we went over. This is circumcision before the Bible. Check out the website. You'll see the transliterations there that we did a while back, and we may have to revisit it and even expound on it. And that's the intention of a lot of the transliterations that you see on our website. All right, so I'm going to shut down. So, last call. If you want to be a part of the discussion, then, it's open. It's not, private club or anything. Just come in on the link and share it. If you know somebody that would be interested in this topic, share it. Share it with whoever, all right? And you may not quite know what's meant by sacred sex, but hey, that's part of the it's part of the little mystery there. Okay, Tamika says it's not working.
Yeah, I think you just need to make sure that there's a password as well, and if you copy paste the password, make sure you're not copying and pasting spaces as well.
Okay, 1 second. Let me make sure I have this correct. So I'm gonna do this one more time because I wouldn't want to leave anybody out that would be interested. Okay, so here's the link. I'm gonna give them as separate parts. Okay, so that's the complete link. Now I noticed that YouTube kind of shortened the link, but that should work. Then you have the meeting ID and the password. And people are here, so something had to work.
Yeah, it's problematic since they got that password stuff.
Yeah, you have to type in the password. So if you want to do it manually, just go to your Zoom app, type in the meeting ID, and then type in the password, and we'll see you here. All right. So remember, pass the link around, and we're gonna end. So I will say Shemim Hotep to everyone in the chat, and I'll see you all in our discussion. So let me end our show.